We do our financial consciousness training to really become financially aware, to understand how economics works and how it fits into our lives, and to see the money around us. So that's what we do every morning, and the goal is to get in the habit of thinking about money every day, so that we can become the best in the world at it. And Calvin says, "Kudos on the movie." Yeah, thank you very much, Calvin. Yeah, we showed our movie last night. It's called B1 the movie, and it was the world premiere. It was the first and only time that we're going to be able to show that movie publicly. We can't show it later. We made an agreement to do it one time. And so if you want to see it, you can go to b1themovie.com, be the number one, themovie.com. It was excellent. A lot of you showed up, thousands of you registered, and it was great to be able to share that with you. We spent years and years and years making this movie, and it was basically built around just kind of celebrating the best in our community and the people that we want to see in movies and on TV, and also what we want to see from our families and from our people. Generally speaking, if you want to know the main objective of the Black Business School, we have a couple of things. Number one is the Black Core of Three. We believe Black people should educate our own children, create our own jobs, support Black-owned businesses. And the reason we believe we should educate our own children is because other people are trying to educate our kids, or they claim to be, and they're not doing a good job. In Chicago, the literacy rate of Black children is incredibly low, among other cities, and I think that that's done intentionally. We study Dr. Claude Anderson books every Wednesday night in Powernomics training, and he explains very eloquently how during the past the goal was to keep Black people as uneducated and uninformed and uncompetitive as possible. Well, I think that you have mission accomplished. The other thing is that the other piece of it is creating our own jobs means we don't have to beg for jobs from other people. I think that that's very important. And also, supporting Black-owned businesses means that there's money circulating in the economy that allows us to be able to financially support the things that we believe in, and to build a sustainable community, so that when they do little things like get rid of DEI, you're not feeling like, oh my gosh, I have no opportunities now because white people don't like me anymore. I want you to like yourself. Now, a lot of you were there at the movie. A lot of you loved it. I saw one of you said you didn't get the link. We sent that link out to hundreds of thousands of you. So if you missed it, if you're having trouble getting the messages or something like that, you can make sure you get on the text list. If you're not on the text list for the financial consciousness training, text the word morning to 87948. Yeah, there were thousands of you that were registered. So if you didn't, if you somehow did not get the connection or something like that, you can email our support team and find out what happened. Their email address is support@theblackbusinessschool.com. That's support@theblackbusinessschool.com. Okay, so what I want to do today is I want to talk to you guys about a couple of financial consciousness topics, so we can kind of get our day started off right. I'm also going to give you guys a stock that I'm investing in right now. I'm literally going to go buy some shares of it right now because of one economic trend that I'm seeing right now. My own economic consciousness process is every morning when I get up and go to the gym. All I'm doing is taking in financial information. I'm listening to a bunch of podcasts and reading articles and thinking about things and stuff like that. So usually by about 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, I've already gone through a day's worth of stuff. Right? So I sometimes I'll see something and I'll say, oh, I got to tell everybody about this because I think this is going to be a big deal. So we'll get to that in 1 second. So just don't let me forget to do that. Now let's sort of start with this. Let me pull up this slide. Remember last time we were going through the slides from my book, The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. And if you don't know that book, you can get a copy at drboycebooks.com. That's drboycebooks.com. And no, Shaquana, you did not miss the profit alert. I promise I'll get to that in 1 second. So don't y'all let me forget to do that. All right, so here's the first thing here, right? So we talked about this, right? That one of the things you have to understand is that part of the reason that Black economics hasn't grown the way it's supposed to grow is because in a capitalist society, you have the worker bees and then you have the beneficiaries. Capitalism for 1,000 years, and before that, I think they called it mercantilism, if I'm not mistaken. These systems are designed to find a way to get a group of people to do all the work so that some small group of people, the aristocrats, can collect all the money. This has been going on for over 1,000 years. So, what better group of people to do all the work than Black people, especially if you achieve your goal of keeping Black people uninformed and unorganized that's going to allow you to extract labor from them. So to some extent, you're trained to be economic slaves, starting in the public school system. They lie to you and tell you to spend your whole life chasing jobs, even though that's not the best way to make money. Almost no one who becomes a millionaire because they got a good job and saved their money. Sometimes, maybe if you're 6'8", 240 pounds, and you play in the NBA, then you can become a millionaire that way. But for most people, the jobs don't get you there. But that's what they hype to you. That's what they promote to you from the very beginning. Jobs, 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 because they need you to play your position so that capitalism, so the economy can be strong. Also, media, the way they mass promote material possessions that don't have a lot of value is really fascinating. I went to one of these fancy parties. I happen to be friends with the guy who was the CEO of the Air Jordan brand, Larry Miller, and Larry's a really great guy. He came to our All Black National Convention a couple of years ago, and Larry invited me and my wife to an Air Jordan party during the NBA All-Star weekend. And so we said, sure, we'd like to go. We don't spend a lot of time around the bougie stuff, So I was like, yeah, let's go. Let's just see how the other half lives. So me and my wife go to this party, and there are all these famous people there. And I remember, I don't remember everybody that was there, but I saw a few people that I recognized. And I sat, and the cool thing about these parties is that they give you lots of free food. So me being like a former fat person, I really went for the free food. So I went to this little place, and it's really good free food. It's like fancy, expensive food that you might not that you might pay a lot of money for. So I went to this little free food spot that had like steak, and there was like a little steakhouse, and they would just make you like these tiny little plates of food. So I sat down with my little fat self to get a little tiny little plate of food, and I sat next to this white guy. And I didn't know who he was. He looked European because he's dressed, they dress kind of weird. And I just turned to him and I was like, oh, you look like, and I'm thinking this is an interesting looking white dude. He probably has done something important because he probably had to be significant to be invited to this party. So I said, so what do you do? And he said, I was the designer of the Beats by Dre headphones. And I said, really? Wow, that's cool. And he didn't ask me what I did. I guess he assumed black people are not important. I don't know. Or maybe he just was interested in his food. I have no idea. But I didn't care to tell him. And I said, really? So I said, that was really fascinating what you all did when it came to the marketing. I was really impressed with how you convinced people to really pay such a premium price for these headphones. And basically with Beats by Dre, what it came down to, and we talked for a minute about it, and it wasn't an impolite conversation or anything, but it was pretty much what I thought. And basically, what happened with Beats by Dre, in my opinion, is that if you look at Beats by Dre headphones and you really analyze them in an honest way, you'll find Beats that there are plenty other headphone brands that are just as good as Beats by Dre. Beats by Dre headphones are not, creme de la creme in terms of sound quality. They're not bad. They're just not, if you go to say a Bose store or whatever, you might find a pair of headphones that cost one-third of the price that are better quality. And what Beats by Dre headphones did that was really brilliant was they said, okay, we got to figure out a way to get people to want to put these mediocre headphones in their ears and to feel like they are better people, like somehow they have achieved a certain level of status by wearing these headphones. So what they did was they said, okay, let's get their favorite celebrities. This is the standard way you market to black people for the most part is you get celebrities. Every single study shows that black people like freaking worship celebrities. Somehow we think celebrities have fairy gold dust sprinkling out of their butts and that they all came from heaven and that they're all these magical creatures that are going to make our lives wonderfully better. And so you put a celebrity, take your headphones, put them in the ears of their favorite celebrities. Serena, it might be LeBron, it might be Lil Wayne, and next thing you know, people will suddenly attribute a higher level of quality to those headphones and be willing to pay a higher price. So because people will pay a higher price to have a higher status. And this allows you to really, what they're really pimping, what they're really benefiting on, what they're leveraging is the self-esteem issue, especially with teenagers. Teenagers don't really know who they are. They just want to be cool. They want to be trendy. They want to fit in. They want to be popular. So if you say, hey, implicitly and explicitly, hey, if you put on these headphones, if you spend this money, if you give us your bread, we will make you one of the cool kids. Well, who wouldn't pay for that? Who wouldn't pay money to be cool or to feel better or to feel like you're a more worthy human being? Right. And so one of the reasons why I think that little things like self-esteem are so important for economics is that a person who already has high self-esteem, who can internally manufacture their self-esteem, is less likely to give up all their money when you try to sell them their self-worth. Do you understand? Let me know if you guys get what I'm saying. You shouldn't have to go through life, especially when you're black, because money's already hard enough to come by. You shouldn't have to go through life buying your self-esteem, buying your self-worth, buying your value to society. You're already valuable the way you are. Who in the hell told you that you got to go spend money at the mall in order for you to be a worthy human being? You are somebody from the very beginning, and to some extent, it's a little bit of a sucker's game, right? And I do believe that they take advantage of people in that way. And a lot of the studies pretty much show that people that have these self-worth issues, these emotional voids, are more likely to say, okay, let me give you money so I can drive a certain car, so I can wear a certain outfit. Look at how many times you see on Instagram it's somebody who's a rapper or imitating a rapper who's got all these European luxury brands from head to toe, Gucci hat, Prada belt, Versace pants, or whatever the hell it is. And they've spent $5,000, $10,000 on this outfit, and to some extent I almost feel bad for them, because it tells me that, okay, so your mama did not give you your self-esteem, so you got to go purchase your self-esteem. And any study in economics pretty much shows that any entity, individual, or country that has to import an essential commodity is typically going to be in an economic disadvantage. What does that mean? That means that if you are a country and you're importing all your food, you're going to be poorer than the country that can produce its own food. If you have to import all your oil, you're going to struggle relative to a country that can produce oil. If you have to import your self-esteem by paying someone else to give it to you, you're going to be worse off than someone else who can generate their self-esteem internally. So the best thing that my mother did when I was a kid, I don't think she was trying to be wise or anything, but she is a wise lady. But I don't think she was trying to be wise in this day. Is that when I would tell her when I was little, and I would say, "Mama, I want the name brand this and the name brand that." I remember her specifically saying that none of that stuff makes you into a better person. Why do you need all that stuff in order for you to feel important or to feel significant? You don't need it. You don't need to go spend money to feel better about yourself. God made you special just the way you are. And I think that translated into the future, because I can tell you right now that I'm a guy who is, it's no secret that I'm a millionaire. I've made some money, but this shirt, I think I probably got this shirt at Walmart. And I'm okay with that, because why? Why am I going to go spend 10 times more for this shirt just to impress who? Impress what? What? If I want to impress you, if I want to impress you, I'm going to do a flex with my brain, because God gave me a good brain. I'm going to say something really smart if I want to impress you, or I'm going to work really hard if I want to impress you. I'm going to do something that's more internally driven, as opposed to saying, I'm going to impress you by showing you how much money I gave to white people to make me look like I'm a better human being. That is not a flex. That is actually a loss, and that is one of the drains of black wealth. And this is one of the things that it exists in society. It's a machine. It's a machine. Capitalism is a machine that is designed to make sure that certain people feel committed to their economic slavery. Let's keep going. So public schools, media, family culture encourages us to go after jobs and student loans. I don't know if you all saw, but this week it was announced that a lot of universities now, for the first time, are going to charge about $100,000 a year in order for people to go to college. That's $100,000 a year of family wealth, just so your child can come out 4 years later and get a $60,000 a year job. There are so many other ways to make money, especially 60,000 a year. There's so many other ways to make that money beyond 4 years of college at $100,000 a year. That is not a wise investment long term. I'm not saying college is bad. College can be great. There's nothing wrong with this. I'm not anti-college. I have to keep repeating that because people get the messages conflated. But what I will say to you, there's so many other ways to make money. In fact, actually, in case you guys don't know, you guys know I love to talk about selling stock options. And I literally showed you all how a person literally can make a child, literally a 24-year-old whose parents did the $5 a day plan. That child can make as much money as a medical doctor without ever going to college and without doing any work. It sounds crazy. People think oh, you're just making stuff up or you're full of fluff. I'm like, no, I'm not some loudmouth internet influencer who pretends to understand finance. My PhD is real. I can't go making things like this up. This really can be done. A lot of you are already doing some of this because you're in the Prime program. So actually tonight we're actually going to do an introduction to the Prime program. So if you want to get an introduction to how I sell stock options and how I make thousands of dollars a week without any work, it does require a capital base, right? So there's always a catch. There's risk, and it requires a capital base. But if you have a capital base and you take a little bit of risk and you get a little bit of knowledge, there are easy ways, much easier ways to make $60,000 a year. I'm not trying to sound arrogant when I say this, but really make there's so many ways to make $60,000 a year that are so much easier than doing a 4-year degree. And I really encourage you to consider teaching this to your kids because it'll change their life and free up a lot of their time. So what I'm gonna do is give you guys the link if you want to join us tonight. It's called Prime 101, and Prime is just the beginner's class. If you're already in the Prime program, then you can get in for free. But if you're not, then you can join. You can come to this 1-day event and just take a look and just see. Tell me what you think. And if you don't like it, if you think I'm full of crap and I'm making stuff up, we definitely give money back guarantees in the Black Business School. We do not like to run around and just make things up. So feel free to go take a look at that. The link is right there in the chat, and you can read all about it. Micah, who's our marketing director, wrote a great email about it explaining everything. So feel free to take a look. How much of a capital base to make 60K, Derek? I'm gonna guess, I don't know, ballpark, maybe 100,000 but I think 100K actually can make a little more, but something like that, right? To be conservative, let's say 100,000. If you had that in your 401K or home equity or something. Again, there's nothing that's foolproof and simple, or nothing that's foolproof. But at the same time, this is exactly how I make my money. I kid you not. Okay, so anyway, so feel free to take a look at that. The Prime link is right there, and also make sure you're on the text list. Text the word morning to 87948, and also I'll send you an invitation that way too. Text morning to 87948. Now let me let you guys know something that I want to share with you before I forget. Um, I was thinking about things I want to invest in, and I'm actually going to go buy this mutual fund right now. That's literally how I think you should think about stock market investing. I think you should just do it and not even really think about it. You should just get in the habit of participating in the stock market. And basically, what I decided today was I really want to invest in copper. And the reason I want to invest in copper is because there is an opening in the whole this whole AI industry right now. With AI, there's a lot of conversations mainly around resources. Like, okay, we know AI is great. We know it's going to take over the world, but we know we have a couple problems. Number one, we don't have enough data to train the AI models. Number two, we don't have enough power. I saw something somewhere that said that the AI models within a year or two are going to take up more electricity than the entire state of New York or something crazy like that. It was some massive amount of electricity. So basically, one of the little plays that I saw was that investments in copper can position you to benefit from this AI boom. And so there's a copper ETF that I'm buying literally right as I'm talking to you, and the ticker symbol is COPX, COPX. It's the Global X Copper Miners ETF. So I'm going to buy some shares of COPX. It's about $45.88. And let me see here. I'm gonna pop this in. I'm literally buying it right now as we speak. Because here's the other thing. Here's a little tip. If you want to do stuff, just do it like while you're thinking about it. Like do it in the moment. Like you got to live in the moment. You can't just like if you keep on saying I'm gonna do stuff later on, then you'll never later on will never come. Especially when you have kids and you're busy and you're working and stuff. Do stuff right then. Do it right now. I always say I need you to go from level 1 to level 2. That's a consciousness exercise. So instead of always talking about what you're gonna do one day, I'm gonna do this one day, one day, one day. No, do it today, right? Do it today. So I want you to go from level 1 to level 2. Stop talking about one day I'm gonna do this, one day I'm gonna do that, because the reality is that sometimes in our mind, I think this is an important consciousness exercise. We disconnect what's gonna happen over the next 5 years to what we're doing in the next 5 minutes. We disconnect the two, like we think that they're not connected to each other. So someone will say, "Oh yeah, one day I'm going to lose weight," and then they'll put the potato chips and the cookies in their mouth as they're saying this. And it's like, well, how are you? Wait, I don't understand this. You say that you're going to become an Olympic athlete or whatever, but you're not acting like one. You're acting like a fat person, right? So you're doing what fat people do. Because I understand, I got the chips in the pantry myself. I ain't making fun of you, but you're behaving like a fat person, but you're talking like somebody who's not going to be fat one day. So you have a problem. You have a maturity issue right now because you're disconnecting what you're doing right now to who you're trying to be later on. So when you tell me what you're going to be one day, I don't want to know about what you're going to be one day. I need to know what you are today. What behaviors, what actions are you committed to today that's going to make you whatever you plan to be one day. So don't go from 1 to 2, go from 2 to 1. So one day I'm gonna do this, but then 2 day I'm gonna do that. No, 2 day I'm gonna do this because one day I'm gonna be that. Do you follow what I'm saying? Do you get that? Okay. So anyway, the ticker symbol is COPX, COPX. Again, no guarantees. This is not investing advice. This is there's no guarantees in investing. Give me a yes if you understand that. Give me a yes if you understand that investing involves risk. This is not investing advice. This is me simply telling you what I just bought. I have to do that because sometimes people don't understand investing and they think that because you have a PhD that it's like having a Harry Potter wand and you can predict what's going to go up and what's going to go down. Can't nobody predict that. Every single financial theory on the planet, and I've seen them all. I've done the high level mathematics. Remember, to get a PhD, you have to write original research papers in the field. That I cannot overstate this. This is not just where I read a bunch of books. No, to be a PhD, you got to write the books. If somebody already knows what you're writing about in your research paper, that's not considered a good research paper. They're not going to publish that paper if they say, well, we already know this. The field already understands. You have to discover new knowledge. So this is where I'm coming from with this. And I can tell you as a person who's seen a lot of stuff and has written a lot of stuff, I can tell you predicting the market is pretty much impossible to do. However, you can have an awareness about what's happening, what the trends are, right? So, like right now, let me share with you a trend that is happening in terms of what you should be aware of. I read an article today that I thought was interesting, and I wanted to share this with you. And it's about a guy who expects that the market could literally have what he calls a 10-year dead zone. With losses similar to the dot-com bust. And again, there's no guarantee that this is true, but this is worth looking at. Now, which app am I using? I used E-Trade to do that, but you can use Robinhood, you can use any app that you want. I have accounts on a lot of different apps. So there's a lot of them. If you're not sure how to invest or how to get started, let's see here. You can go to theblackstockmarketprogram.com, theblackstockmarketprogram.com. We show you everything from how to buy your first share of stock all the way through more advanced material. We've been doing that for about 7 years, and there's literally probably, I'm gonna guess, I probably have about 1,000 lectures in there right now on stock market investing. So literally, if you just sit there and you listen to me talk all day, if you don't mind my voice, I don't have like a great big booming like Morgan Freeman voice or a sexy Barry White voice or anything. I just have a voice of a guy who's doing his best to share as much information as you as I can. I guarantee you that if you just sit there and you're listening to me talk all day long, you're going to be far more trained on stock market investing than the average person. Okay. So feel free to go to theblackstockmarketprogram.com. There, the first month actually is like $1 or something. So you can try it out, see if you like it. All right. So let me keep going here. Let me read this article to you. It says the stock market could be in for a decade of next to nothing returns, says one top fund manager. So this is a top mutual fund manager who's predicting that the stock market could have a decade of just nothingness, just emptiness, no money being made, everybody feeling bad. This is possible. This happened in Japan, actually. Let's see here. That's because inflation and interest rates could remain stubbornly high. So he's saying that because inflation and interest rates could remain high, which they've been very high lately, that this could cause the market to pretty much flatline. Stocks could see near-term losses on par with the dot-com bust in the 2008 crash. So if you remember in 2008 and also in the year 2000, you had two big crashes and it was a lot of it was because you had what we refer to as irrational exuberance. Irrational exuberance is where the market gets a little bit financially drunk. People start going crazy, people start overpaying for things, and it becomes a complete mess. And so when the market gets financially drunk, you run that risk that you're going to have a crash when everybody sobers up. Just like when you get high on a drug and then the next morning you wake up and you got a big headache and you feel like crap. Well, this is kind of what some people think could happen here. And I don't doubt what he's saying. Listen to this. Investors cheering the rally in stocks this year should be prepared for the good times to end and the S&P 500 risks seeing dismal returns for the next 10 to 15 years. That's according to Bill Smead, a top 2% fund manager. So he's in the top 2% of fund managers, who remains one of Wall Street's biggest bears. So he's one of the top 2%, but he tends to be pessimistic. He's a big bear. A bear means someone who expects the market to go down. Even in the face of the market's 8% rally in 2024, that's because stocks look to be in the midst of what he refers to as a speculative bubble. He's warned previously, and it could set investors up for a dead ball era of performance, the Smead Capital Management founder said in a recent note to clients. That dead ball period will last for at least the next decade, Smead said, and it will only end once all the enthusiasm for the market's most expensive stocks has bled out. So when you have been beaten down so bad that you give up hope and you start walking away and you start selling things and you don't want to be in the market anymore because it's not interesting, he said that's when the market is going to recover. How about that for a pessimistic prediction? Is this accurate? Nobody knows. So do not think that because I'm reading this that this is the gospel. This is not the gospel. This is an opinion. So keep that in mind. The process could lead to losses on par with the dot-com bubble and the great financial crisis, he said, when stocks suffer double-digit drops. Quote, it will be more like the 2000 to '03 bear market or more like '07 to '09, Smead said in an interview with Business Insider. We'll probably get two full-blown bear markets in a 10-year time period that will basically negate making any money in the S&P 500 index. You won't want to buy the S&P 500 index until it becomes kind of a swear word. So he says people won't want to buy until people just start to hate it. Like, I'm so mad because my stocks ain't going up. Smead thinks the losses could be fueled by stubbornly high inflation. The consumer price index is coming hotter than expected for the last 3 months, with prices accelerating 3.8% year over year in March, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics' latest CPI report on Wednesday. That's making the economic landscape look precariously similar to the 1970s, Smead said, right before inflation spiraled out of control and led stocks to struggle. People who know history tend to be really good in terms of predicting or looking at the market because they have something to compare it to. A lot of people don't know what happened in the 70s and the 80s or the 60s. The OGs kind of understand this, so there's good wisdom here. So again, while I don't agree with him, I wouldn't be surprised if he were wrong. I want to hear why he has this particular opinion, and this is a habit I think that's it's important to get into. If you want to be a conscious, aware human being, in my opinion, you take in information, and you even if you disagree, you want to understand what your critics or the people who disagree with you are thinking so that you can refine your own thoughts. You don't want to be like so many other people out here who don't want to listen to anybody who disagrees with them. That is just messy and stupid and ignorant, and it's ridiculous. All right, so anyway, let me keep going. Stubborn inflation raises the risk that the Fed will keep interest rates higher for longer. And some experts, like which they probably will, like J.P. Morgan boss Jamie Dimon, have warned interest rates could end up rising as high as 8%. It just reeks of inflation, Smead said of the economy. We are entering an inflationary era, and that's going to cause a complete shift in what we call the investment zeitgeist. The stock market itself cannot do well when that zeitgeist is changing because all the money is in there. Investors have been eager to put their cash in AI stocks and mega cap leaders like those in the Magnificent Seven, but Smead has repeatedly warned to stay away from overvalued areas of the market. He previously predicted that the most expensive stocks could plunge as much as 70% in value. Woo! Nobody ever talked about the massive percentage of growth stocks that carried euphoric prices, do poorly, and get slaughtered, he said in a note last week. That doesn't mean there won't be an opportunity to make money even during the deadball period for the market. Smead's firm remains bullish on out-of-favor investments that typically benefit from inflation, such as oil and gas, real estate, and gold. In the deadball era, we really found places to get hits and score runs, he said, pointing to the outperformance of those sectors during the 70s. We're in that same situation. Okay, so what comes to my mind here? Um, Number one, you guys know a few days ago or a week and a half ago, I did that special training on storm-proof investing. You may want to consider taking a look at that. That could be something that actually helps you in terms of preparing. So if you own some of these big companies, a lot of the Magnificent Seven, the Amazons and Microsofts and stuff like that, and you think that it's a possibility that you could see a pullback like this, the time to prepare is in advance, right? So you buy your umbrellas when the sun is out. You never buy your umbrellas in the rain. And so effectively, there are some strategies that you can follow that can help you to protect your portfolio. I'll give you a link to the Stormproof Investing training if you want to take a look at that as a way to kind of give yourself some cover in case the market dips. When the market's doing well, that's when you protect your losses. That's when you start thinking, okay, how do I make sure that the money I've made doesn't get lost? It's just like a basketball game. When you're losing the game, you play with one style, but when you start winning the game, you have to play with a different style. So when you're winning, you're playing more conservative because you're trying to protect your win. But when you're losing, you take more risk because you're trying to get into the game. So those who are struggling financially might take more risk so they can get a chance to get some assets. Those who already have something that they're trying to protect have to play a different strategy. You have to do a little bit more conservative moving, or better yet, if you're a football fan, maybe you run the ball a little bit more. That would be the football analogy. So here's the link to Stormproof Investing if you guys want to take a look at that. I specifically talk about this because I do specifically believe that this year there's a very, 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 very good chance that this beautiful, beautiful market that we've had so far could start pulling back. But actually, it started pulling back sooner than I thought. Right after we did that training, if you notice, right after that, the market started to act a little weird. And you had a couple of really bad days. I think that this could just be the beginning. I think that there's a possibility that later in the year, it could pull back even more. And in fact, actually, right now, geopolitical risk, the risk that something could happen between Israel and Iran. If you know, Israel's already kind of attacked Iran, and then Iran has said we're going to retaliate against Israel. Israel's basically said if you retaliate against us, we're going to attack you again. And the United States has said we back Israel no matter what, which is very concerning because Iran has nuclear weapons, if I'm not mistaken, or they maybe they pretend like they don't, but it's just so bad. I don't all that stuff. So what that would do from a financial standpoint for sure is impact the price of oil, which could impact inflation, which could also impact the stock market because risk generally pulls that market down. So kind of keep that in mind. One other thing too, in case you don't know, we will be in Los Angeles in a few days, 8 days from now. I'll be in LA for the Stock Options Summit. So if you want to join us for that, and it's going to be 2 days of nothing but stock options, and we're going to hang out and have fun. So if you want to fly in for that, feel free to go to stockoptionssummit.com. That's stockoptionssummit.com. Okay, so let me pull up the slides one more time, and so we can kind of hit a couple of quick topics before we bounce out. So we were talking specifically about different ways that you're kind of turned into this economic slave or economic commodity, how others are able to benefit financially from you, and really when we talk about things like what we discussed last night in the movie B1, the movie, is I said, what does it look like to be black first? And to me, black first means putting yourself first. It means making sure that you are the primary beneficiary of your labor. You are the primary beneficiary of your resources. You're the primary beneficiary of your talent. You're the primary beneficiary of your children. In our children, we produce the best athletes. We have the most creative people in the world. We have an extraordinary culture that people emulate all around the globe. So the question becomes, how is it that everybody else benefits except for us? Or it seems that way. It seems like somehow, some way, we end up not getting what we deserve from the deal. A lot of that comes from making a raw deal. A lot of that comes from not having a culture that encourages young people to develop business infrastructure so that you have the capacity and the ability to protect that which is yours. And that really starts with the educational system. So if you are raised to go and work for other people, then you're never really thinking, how do I create businesses and develop and protect my business interests? You're not thinking like an investor. You're thinking about the system from the bottom up as opposed to the top down. You're showing up to the chess match. Pay attention now. You're not showing up to the chess match as a chess player. You are showing up to the chess match looking to be a piece on the chess board. You understand? Economics is a big chessboard, and there are players on the chessboard. These are the capitalists. These are the high-minded capitalists who have a high level of economic consciousness who are moving pieces around the chessboard. They're saying, how do we get 3,000 employees over here to do this, and another 2,000 to do that, and another 4,000 to do this? They're moving the pieces around. We show up and we say, hey, massa, can you put me on your chessboard? Can I get in the game? And we're not thinking, how do we start a game, or how do we run a game, or control a game? We're thinking just, how do we get in the game? Hey, boss, let me in the game. Include me in the game. Yeah, DEI me into the game. Affirmative action me into the game so that I can be a piece on your board. So when the chess match does not work out in your favor, or you are a pawn on the chessboard, and as a pawn, they end up laying you off or unemploying you, or you get knocked off the board, and you're devastated by this. Think about this. Think about how sad we get when we lose a job, or when somebody gentrifies our neighborhood, or when we end up with no money, even though we're doing all the work. Well, a lot of that comes from the fact that we don't necessarily grow or raised to have the consciousness of understanding how the whole chessboard is structured. So rather than trying to be in the game, I want our kids to learn how to start the game, to play the game, to create the game. Right. So mindset, consciousness, financial consciousness is extremely important when it comes to even positioning yourself to be able to be the beneficiary of your labor. Check this out. Pay attention now. I want y'all to write this quote down. I want you to, can we do a moment and reflect? Because I want to give you a quote that is very powerful, and I want you to write it down because it's that powerful. And I hope I say it correctly. Nelson Rockefeller, one of the richest men in the history of the world, one time said, if you're at work all day long, you don't have any time to make money. He literally said, if you're busy at work all day long, you don't have any time to make money. Now, I want you to think about that quote. I thought that was a really powerful quote. And because a lot of us think, if you say, well, why did you go to work today? Well, because I got to go make some money. But he literally said, if you're busy at work all day long, you don't have time to make any money. So that clearly is a different perspective. That clearly is a different type of economic consciousness. That he's playing a different game when he says that. A lot of us will say, I got to go to work to make money. He says, no, if I go to work all day, how am I going to make money? Well, because for him, making money doesn't involve going to work all day. For a Rockefeller, he's thinking, if I'm at work all day and I'm trying to be a pawn on somebody's chessboard, how am I going to learn how to structure and change the game? How am I going to learn how to create a chess match where I'm in control of things if I'm too busy being somebody else's pawn? So another quote I'll give you. This wasn't a quote. This is just an incident that happened. I remember, and this really was when I started thinking about investor psychology and financial psychology really heavily. And I dug deeper into it, in my doctoral studies. But I remember when I was finishing college, and I talked to one of my friends, and we were all excited because we were seniors, we were leaving school, and we were trying to figure out what our next move was going to be. And I said, and now at that time, my mindset was I didn't know anything about a lot of the stuff that we talk about now. I wasn't the same Boyce Watkins that I am now. This was 30 years ago, 31 years ago, 1993. I'm a young college senior. I was the top student on the campus, so I had a lot of opportunities. And I thought that the best way to make money and to get ahead financially was to get a great job, to do a really good job in school and get a really great job making a lot of money, and that would be my key to salvation. I didn't Later on I learned that that's not true, but at the time that's what I thought. So so in my mind, I said, okay, if I want to make the most money and get the best job, I got to go to school for a while. And I remember that I met one of my friends and I said, what are you going to do after graduation? Are you going to go to grad school? And she said, I like money too much to go to grad school. And she said, what are you going to do? I said, well, I like money too much not to go to grad school. Right? Do you follow what I'm saying? We both like money, but we have two different approaches, two different types of consciousness. She's thinking short term, I'm thinking long term. She's saying, okay, if I go out right now, I can get a job right now and I'll make more money right now. I'm thinking, I don't want a job right now because I want to get the best job a little bit later on down the road. And that's pretty much what happened. Her first job, I think I forgot what she was doing, but she was making maybe $30,000 a year or something like that. My first job, I made over $100,000 a year, but I had to go to school longer than she did. So that was like a baby level of economic consciousness that led to a different outcome for each of us. But I don't want us to just talk about the baby level of consciousness. I want us to go up to a higher level than that, because it wasn't until years later that I started realizing that no, there's more levels to this. I thought that we could only go up to the third floor. There's actually about 5 or 6 floors above the third floor that we can go to. And these are the ones that I encourage you to consider. So the Rockefellers, they play it clearly on the highest floor. The people that are captains of industry and the capitalists, yeah, you can sit around and vilify them and demonize them and all that, and that's fine. I get it. They are, some of them are a bunch of bastards, but let me just tell you the truth. They don't care what you think. They really don't. They're not, they don't have to care what any of us thinks. So rather than sitting around and being mad at them for what they have and what they've accomplished, I think that a more productive approach might be to say, what did they do? How did they do things a little bit differently from everybody else? And so one thing about, say, let's go back to the Rockefellers, is that my perception is that in his life he was a person that pretty much saw the world as almost like a pimp game, where you've got the leaders and then you've got the sheep. You've got the people that will do what they feel that they need to do, and then you got the people that will just follow the crowd. And so one of the things I learned from statements like that is I say, okay, it does not typically work well if you are a person who follows the crowd. And I really suspect that black people, because we've been led to fall for this myth of this fantasy called integration, we're very much trying to follow the crowd. When you're trying to integrate into something, you're trying to be accepted, and when you're trying to be accepted, you become very conformist. When you're conforming, you do what you're told. You're like the orphan child who gets invited over for dinner, and you say, "Gosh, I hope I don't mess up because I don't want them to put me out of the house. I want to fit in. I'm going to help wash the dishes. I'm gonna sing along with whatever Christmas carol they're singing because I want them to like me." Do you understand? So this is where where those things that we think don't relate to our economics are deeply related. If you are a person who spends your life trying to be accepted, especially by people who don't really like you that much and don't understand you that much, it's going to be really hard for you to end up in a position of true power because you don't have any freedom. You don't have the freedom to truly do what you need to do in order to get to the place that you really want to be. Leading and winning and succeeding in a world where most people do not requires a tremendous amount of courage, creativity, almost a meditative level of reflection and awareness to the point where you say, gosh, everybody else is doing this, but I don't think that's the way to go. You need to have knowledge. You need to learn things. And then when you learn them, though, you got to have the courage to apply them. A lot of people know things, but they don't do anything. They just sit on it and they just sit there and they're really smart. They don't make any moves. Well, that comes from the courage issue, or maybe the self-esteem issue, or the fear of being different. Did y'all know that studies show that 70% of all people will follow the crowd, even when the crowd is wrong? Even when they know that the crowd is wrong, even when all the evidence, you could lay 10 pieces of evidence in front of them to say the crowd is wrong, the crowd is wrong, the crowd is wrong, the crowd is wrong, the crowd is wrong. 70% of all people will still follow the crowd and watch everybody walk off a bridge and die, and they'll just walk right off the bridge with them. So I want my one of the goals I have for you is I want you to have the courage to not feel like you have to follow the crowd. I don't have any interest in following the crowd because I don't think in the black community that the crowd has been very good at kind of understanding and navigating this economic landscape. I think that creative, unique thinking is an absolute essential requirement for any black person in America that really wants to succeed and be successful. That means you cannot spend your time seeking approval from white folks, and you cannot spend your time seeking approval from black folks. You have to seek approval from you, from your purpose, from God, whatever it is that's guiding you, the universe, your destiny, right? Find something on a higher dimension to follow. Do not follow the jerk and the asshole across the street who's leading you into a ditch, or the hater down the block who's telling you that what you're doing is wrong, or the ignorant cousin that you have who ain't never succeeded at nothing and got everything to say about what you're doing. Don't pay attention to those people. Do you understand this? Let me just say this. Let me give. I hope it's okay if I give quick props to my mama because I gotta do that. I believe in that kind of thing. Let me give you props to my mama. I joked earlier. I said my mama wasn't trying to be a wise person or anything, but I think that she stumbled on some significant wisdom. And let me tell you why. My mother was 17 when she gave birth to me, right? And my father was already gone. He was on drugs and stuff. I didn't know the man. I barely knew the man. I had a father that raised me. Y'all know the story. So my mother, she did, she was like a, kind of a little hood girl, right? Just, we literally like lived in the projects and all that stuff, right? Roaches on the floor, you just flick them off the sandwich and you keep on eating. That was kind of what it was, and it was okay, right? And because I didn't know any better. So well, anyway, so my mother had a lot of friends her same age who women have this crazy y'all have this crazy thing where if you're really good friends, you ever see where girls that are really good friends, they start having their menstrual cycles at the same time and they start having kids at the same time and stuff like that. And my mother had really good friends like that I remember seeing growing up, and they all had kids at the same time. So it was cool for me because I had a bunch of kids to play with. We go over so and so's house, they would have a son the same age as me. We go over to her other friend's house, she got a daughter the same age as me. It was really great. So I had all these friends, all these peers that were my same age, and so we all played and did whatever. And years later, I look back and I said, "Man, this is so crazy that how close I came to the edge." Because I said to my mother, I said, "Do you know that every boy that I played with when I was a kid literally ended up on drugs, in jail, or in some horrible situation? Not one single boy that I remember playing with among my mother's friends became whatever you call successful, right? To the point where some of them I can't even hang out. I'm like, man, I can't hang out with you because I'm not trying to go get locked up for whatever you got in the car. Like, I love you, but I'm not getting in that car, right? And so we talked about this, and one of the things that my mother said that I thought was really interesting, and this is really a good encouragement for those parents that are doing things a little bit different, is she said that she used to get bullied by some of her friends who thought that she was being too hard on me. She used to get, had friends that would say, "Oh, or let him go play, or you got him on punishment for too long, or whatever, right?" And but she just kind of did what she was gonna do, and I think some of that came from my grandmother too. My grandmother was one of those no nonsense type of people, and my father was a Vietnam veteran police officer, so there was discipline in the house. There wasn't no shenanigans, wasn't no ignorance. He didn't give a damn what somebody down the street did. So this is why the strong father really does make a difference. My father's strongest that there is. I mean, he's literally a man that would kill for his family. He's that type of guy. And so with that, so he has to get credit for that too. But what it was, here's what it was. Here's the best part that I noticed that they gave us was they literally had this mindset that was like, we don't really care what so and so did with their kid. We don't care about you fitting in with this person or that person, or us fitting in, or getting approval from other people. If you if you came to my dad's house seeking, trying to get him to go along with something because everybody else is doing it, he's the kind of person that would cuss you out. Like, he would literally cuss you out. And so long story short, I really think there's something to that. I think that there's something to that in terms of having that courage to really sit in a space with people that you respect, and getting the right idea on how to move forward, how to do things, raise kids, how to build wealth, how to live your life, how to be healthy, and really just saying, this is what we gonna do. This is what we're doing here. We don't care what they're doing over there, because chances are, because they're part of a community that's been poisoned, that's been lied to, that's been misled, that's been damaged, there's a good chance that they're doing things wrong. There's a good chance of that. Okay. So keep going, keep doing you. Don't be scared. And I think that you're gonna be okay. Now, I just saw someone mention that OJ Simpson just died of cancer. I hope that that's not true. And if that's the case, then RIP to OJ. I'm gonna go look it up and just see. And maybe there's more to talk about that. I'm gonna look that up right after we get done. So by the way, so really quick, the stock that I mentioned, the investment that I made is COPX. It's a copper ETF, COPX, COPX, COPX. That's what I invested in. That was the profit alert. Number two, if you want to join us in Prime 101 tonight, where I'll introduce you to what we do when it comes to selling stock options, you can, I'll text out the link. If you text the word morning to 87948, I'll send out a link later on today. And then also, here's the link if you want to take a look at the Stormproof investing event that we did. Here's the recording. Feel free to go take a look at that. And also, this week we'll be in Los Angeles at the Stock Options Summit on the 19th. So if you want to meet in person and hang out and do stock options all weekend, and be around people that actually know how to make money, and they're really making money. This is not pretending. This is not just a motivational hype speech. This is real stuff. Feel free to go to stockoptionssummit.com. That's stockoptionssummit.com. Okay, guys, I will see you all tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, every single day. Financial consciousness training. God bless you. Have a good day. And again, RIP to OJ. I know some people think, some of y'all, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of think OJ probably did it, but I was really happy that he got off, because I mean, the glove didn't fit. I mean, shout out to Johnny Cochran. If the glove don't fit, he didn't do that shit. That was my opinion. If the glove don't fit, he didn't do that shit. But then again, though, would I let OJ babysit my kids? Probably not. Probably not. Anyway, take care, guys. Have a good day. God bless you. I'll see you all tomorrow.